You finish dinner, maybe have a small snack later in the evening, and then you go to bed thinking your body will rest, recover, and reset for the next day. But what if I told you that something as simple as what you eat before bed could quietly put stress on your heart while you sleep? Not in a dramatic way that wakes you up immediately, but in a slow, silent way that increases your risk of high blood pressure, irregular heart rhythms, and even stroke over time. This is something I see far too often in older adults. My name is Dr. Anand Verma. I have spent over 25 years working with patients over the age of 60, many of them dealing with heart disease, blood pressure problems, and complications that seem to come out of nowhere. And one pattern keeps repeating itself. Patients who believe they are doing everything right during the day, but unknowingly create stress on their heart at night. I remember a patient in his early 70s. He was disciplined. He walked daily, took his medications, avoided heavy meals during the day. But his blood pressure remained unpredictable, especially in the mornings. When we looked deeper, the issue was not his daytime routine. It was what he ate in the 2 hours before bed. A small bowl of salty snacks, a cup of sweet tea, sometimes a late-night fruit he believed was harmless. Individually, these seemed minor. Together, they were quietly stressing his cardiovascular system every single night. And this is where most people misunderstand what sleep actually is. Sleep is not just rest. For your heart, it is a critical recovery window. Your blood pressure should naturally dip. Your heart rate should slow. Your blood vessels should relax. But certain foods disrupt this entire process. Instead of recovery, your body stays in a state of internal strain. And here is the part most people miss. You may not feel it happening. There is no immediate pain, no clear warning. But night after night, this pattern builds pressure on your heart. In this video, I will walk you through 6 specific foods that seniors should avoid before bed, why they are dangerous, and what you should do instead to protect your heart while you sleep. Because once you understand what is really happening inside your body at night, you can take control of it. And the difference that makes is far more powerful than most people realize. Most people believe that as long as they are not eating a large, heavy dinner, their heart is safe during the night. They think, I only had a light snack, or it was just something small before bed. And on the surface, that sounds reasonable. But this is where the misunderstanding begins, because your body after the age of 60 does not process food at night the same way it did decades ago. Now let me explain what is really happening inside your body. When you eat close to bedtime, your digestive system becomes active at a time when your cardiovascular system is supposed to slow down. Think of your body like a house at night. Certain systems are supposed to power down so others can repair. Your heart rate slows, your blood pressure drops, your blood vessels relax. This is what allows your heart to recover from the demands of the day. But when you eat late, especially certain types of foods, you interrupt that natural shift. Instead of slowing down, your body has to redirect blood toward digestion. Your stomach and intestines require increased blood flow to break down food. This creates a kind of internal competition. Your heart now has to work harder when it should be resting. And that is only part of the story. Certain foods, especially those high in sugar, salt, or stimulants, trigger additional responses. Blood sugar rises. Insulin is released. Fluid balance shifts. In some cases, your nervous system becomes more active instead of calming down. Imagine trying to let a machine cool down while it is still being pushed to operate. That is essentially what happens to your heart at night. And in older adults, this effect is amplified. Blood vessels are less flexible. Hormonal responses are slower. The ability to quickly stabilize blood pressure is reduced. So what might seem like a harmless late-night habit can actually create repeated nightly stress on your cardiovascular system. And over time, that stress adds up. It can contribute to higher morning blood pressure, irregular heart rhythms, poor sleep quality, and increased risk of long-term heart damage. But here is where this becomes even more important. Not all foods affect your body in the same way at night. Some are far more disruptive than others. And the first category, the one most seniors completely underestimate, is something many people eat without a second thought. Let's look at that next. The first food category that creates significant overnight heart stress is salty snacks. This includes things like chips, packaged crackers, salted nuts, and even certain processed light evening snacks that are marketed as healthy. Most people assume the problem with salt is only about long-term blood pressure. They think, I will deal with that over time. But what they do not realize is how quickly sodium can affect your body, especially at night. When you consume salty foods before bed, your body begins to retain more fluid. Sodium pulls water into your bloodstream. This increases the total volume of blood your heart has to pump. Now imagine your blood vessels as pipes. If you increase the amount of fluid inside those pipes, the pressure inside them rises. Your heart now has to push against that increased pressure. And this often happens during the exact time when your blood pressure should naturally be dipping. Instead of a nighttime drop, some people experience what we call non-dipping blood pressure patterns. In simple terms, their blood pressure stays elevated even while they sleep. This is strongly associated with higher risk of stroke and heart disease in older adults. I have seen patients whose blood pressure readings in the morning were consistently high, despite medication. When we adjusted their evening sodium intake, those readings improved within weeks. That is how immediate this effect can be. So what should you do? First, avoid all packaged salty snacks at least 3 hours before bed. Second, be cautious of hidden sodium in foods like soups, pickles, and processed meats. Third, if you feel the need for something in the evening, choose low-sodium options such as unsalted nuts in small portions or a simple piece of fruit. This is not about eliminating enjoyment. It is about removing unnecessary strain on your heart during its most important recovery window. But salt is only one part of the problem, because the next category of food does something even more disruptive. It interferes directly with your blood sugar and your heart rhythm at night. And this is where many seniors unknowingly increase their risk without realizing it. The second category you need to be very careful with before bed is sugary foods and refined carbohydrates. This includes desserts, biscuits, white bread, sweet tea, and even certain fruits eaten in excess at night. Most people associate sugar with diabetes, but they do not immediately connect it to heart stress during sleep. Now let me explain why that connection is very real. When you consume sugar or refined carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises quickly. Your body responds by releasing insulin, a hormone that helps move sugar out of your bloodstream and into your cells. During the day, your body is more efficient at handling this process. But at night, especially after the age of 60, this system becomes less responsive. This is what we call reduced insulin sensitivity. So what happens? Your blood sugar stays elevated for longer. Your body has to work harder to bring it down. And this creates a chain reaction. Elevated blood sugar can increase inflammation, affect blood vessel function, and in some cases disrupt your heart's electrical stability. That last part is critical. Your heart relies on a precise electrical system to maintain a steady rhythm. Sudden shifts in blood sugar and insulin can interfere with that balance. Some patients experience palpitations or irregular heartbeats during the night without realizing the trigger is what they ate before bed. There is another layer to this. High blood sugar can also lead to more frequent urination during the night. This disrupts sleep, which further stresses your heart and blood pressure regulation. So what should you do? Avoid sweets, desserts, and refined carbohydrates at least 3 hours before sleep. Be cautious with late-night fruit portions, especially high-sugar fruits like bananas and grapes. If you need something, choose a small portion of protein or a low-glycemic option that does not spike your blood sugar. Because once you stabilize your nighttime blood sugar, you reduce one of the major hidden stressors on your heart. But there is another category that often surprises people. It is something many consider harmless, even relaxing. Yet it has a direct effect on your heart rhythm and sleep quality. And that is what we need to look at next. The third category is caffeine-containing foods and drinks. And this is where many people make a mistake without realizing it. They believe caffeine only comes from coffee. So they avoid coffee in the evening but continue to consume tea, chocolate, or even certain light desserts. But caffeine is still present in these items, and its effects can last much longer in older adults. Now here is what happens. Caffeine stimulates your nervous system. It increases alertness, raises heart rate slightly, and can elevate blood pressure. During the day, your body can tolerate this, but at night, this stimulation directly interferes with your body's ability to shift into a resting state. Think of your nervous system as having two modes. One is active, alert, and engaged. The other is calm, restorative, and focused on repair. Caffeine pushes your body toward the active mode. Even if you feel sleepy, your internal systems may still be stimulated. This can lead to lighter, fragmented sleep. And when sleep is disrupted, your heart does not get the full recovery it needs. In some individuals, caffeine can also trigger irregular heart rhythms, especially if the heart is already sensitive. I have had patients who reported waking up with a racing heart in the middle of the night. When we traced it back, the cause was often evening tea or chocolate. So what should you do? Avoid all caffeine sources at least 6 to 8 hours before bedtime. This includes tea, chocolate, cola drinks, and certain desserts. If you enjoy a warm drink in the evening, switch to caffeine-free herbal options, because protecting your sleep is one of the most powerful ways to protect your heart. But there is another category that goes even deeper. It affects not just your heart, but also your blood vessels and inflammation levels. And most people do not associate it with nighttime risk at all. Let's look at that next. The fourth category is heavy, fatty, and fried foods. This includes items like fried snacks, rich curries, fast food, and meals high in saturated fats. Most people think the issue with these foods is weight gain or cholesterol over time. But what happens at night is more immediate. When you eat a heavy, fatty meal before bed, your digestive system has to work much harder. Fat takes longer to break down than other nutrients. So your body stays in a state of active digestion for hours. This delays your ability to enter deep restorative sleep, and it places prolonged demand on your cardiovascular system. There is also another effect. High-fat meals can temporarily impair the function of your blood vessels. The inner lining of your blood vessels, called the endothelium, becomes less efficient at relaxing. This means your blood vessels stay slightly more constricted, and that increases the workload on your heart. Now, before we go further, I want to pause for a moment. If you are over 60, I want you to write 60 plus in the comments. And if you have ever felt discomfort, heaviness, or restlessness after eating late at night, write night symptoms. This helps me understand what you are experiencing, and it also helps others realize they are not alone. Now, coming back to this, what should you do? Avoid heavy fatty meals at least 3 to 4 hours before bed. Keep your evening meals lighter and easier to digest. This allows your body to shift into recovery mode more efficiently. But there's still another category that quietly disrupts your heart at night. And this one is often hidden inside foods people believe are completely safe. The fifth category is processed and preserved foods with hidden additives. This includes packaged, ready-to-eat meals, processed meats like sausages and deli slices, and even some canned foods. Most people focus only on calories or fat content, but they overlook the additives, preservatives, flavor enhancers, and hidden sodium that can affect your cardiovascular system. Now let me explain why this matters at night. These additives can influence fluid balance, blood pressure, and even vascular tone. Some preservatives can cause subtle inflammation in blood vessels. Others increase sodium load without you realizing it. And when this happens before sleep, your body carries that burden through the entire night. I have seen patients who believed they were eating light dinners, just a small sandwich or a ready-made meal. But their blood pressure patterns told a different story. Once we removed processed foods from their evening routine, their nighttime stability improved significantly. So what should you do? Limit processed and preserved foods in the evening. Focus on fresh, simple meals. Even something basic like lightly cooked vegetables with a small portion of protein is far better than a packaged alternative, because reducing these hidden inputs allows your heart to function more smoothly overnight. But there is still one more category, and this one directly affects your fluid balance and can quietly strain your heart while you sleep. The sixth category is excessive fluid intake, especially certain types of drinks before bed. This includes large amounts of water, sugary beverages, and even seemingly healthy drinks taken too close to bedtime. Now, hydration is important, but timing matters just as much as quantity. When you drink large volumes of fluid right before bed, your body has to process that fluid during the night. This can lead to repeated awakenings to urinate. Each time you wake up, your sleep cycle is disrupted. And as we have discussed, disrupted sleep prevents your heart from fully recovering. There is another layer. Sudden fluid shifts can also affect blood pressure regulation. In some older adults, this can lead to fluctuations that place additional strain on the cardiovascular system. So what should you do? Reduce fluid intake in the 1 to 2 hours before bedtime. Stay hydrated throughout the day instead, and avoid sugary or caffeinated drinks in the evening entirely, because stable hydration patterns support stable heart function. Now that you understand the 6 major categories, we need to bring this together, because knowing what to avoid is only part of the solution. The real power comes from knowing exactly what to do instead, and that is what we will focus on next. Now that you understand which foods can stress your heart at night, the next step is knowing how to build a simple, protective evening routine. Because avoiding risk is only half the equation. Creating stability is what truly protects your heart over time. Let me make this very clear. You do not need a complicated plan. You need a consistent one. Start with timing. Finish your last proper meal at least 3 hours before bed. This gives your body enough time to complete most of the digestive process before sleep begins. Next, keep that meal light and balanced. Include a moderate portion of protein, some fiber, and avoid excess salt, sugar, and heavy fats. This helps maintain stable blood sugar and reduces digestive strain. If you feel hungry later, choose something small and controlled. A few unsalted nuts or a light low-sugar option is enough. Avoid turning late-night eating into a second meal. Now consider your evening drinks. Shift your hydration earlier in the day. If you need something warm at night, choose caffeine-free options and limit fluid intake as bedtime approaches. Another important step is awareness. Pay attention to how your body responds. Do you wake up with a racing heart? Do you feel unrested despite sleeping for hours? Do you notice swelling, heaviness, or discomfort at night? These are not random experiences. They are signals. And when you respond to them early, you prevent long-term damage. I often tell my patients this. Your body speaks quietly before it speaks loudly. If you listen now, you avoid serious problems later. And that is where control begins. But before we close, there is one final piece you need to understand. Because even with the right habits, your mindset about aging and health plays a powerful role in what happens next. Let me bring this together in the simplest and most important way. What you eat before bed is not just about digestion. It is about whether your heart gets the chance to recover or continues to work under pressure. After the age of 60, your body becomes more sensitive. Not weaker, just more responsive to both good and bad inputs. And that means small changes matter more than ever. The 6 categories we discussed, salt, sugar, caffeine, heavy fats, processed foods, and excessive fluids, are not dangerous in isolation. The danger comes from repetition, night after night, without awareness. That is how hidden stress builds inside the body. But the moment you become aware, you change that pattern. You give your heart the environment it needs to rest. You allow your blood pressure to stabilize. You improve your sleep. And over time, you reduce your risk of serious conditions like stroke and heart disease. So here's what I want you to do starting tonight. Look at what you usually eat or drink in the evening. Identify one thing you can remove or adjust. Just one. Because even that single change can begin to reduce strain on your heart. And if this video helped you see something you had not considered before, share it with someone you care about. A friend, a spouse, a parent. Because many people are making these mistakes without realizing it. And early awareness can prevent serious consequences. Also, if you want more clear, practical guidance on protecting your health as you age, subscribe to this channel. Everything here is designed to help you stay informed, stay independent, and stay in control. Take care of your heart. It is working for you every moment, even while you sleep. And the better you support it, the stronger it will support you in the years ahead.